What's up, people? Welcome back to Real Estate is Local. I've got another amazing episode coming right actually from my backyard today. We're going to break down Winter Haven, Lakeland, what it's like to live in Polk County. And I got some special guests for you, the ladies from the Haven Group, Janelle and my girlfriend Madison. They're going to break it down, what it's like to buy here in Polk County and what you should know about Winter Haven, Lakeland, and everything in between. If you're new here, leave a like and subscribe. But without further ado, here's Real Estate is Local with the Haven Group. We are live with the ladies from the Haven Group. Welcome, ladies. Janelle, Madison, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Maddie, I haven't seen you in a while, but it's good to see you again. Janelle, likewise, haven't seen you in a long time, actually, so it's great to see you. Good to be back kind of sitting upright after a couple weeks in bed here with the ACL stuff. So let's dive right into it. Janelle, I really want to talk to you about the Haven Group in particular, right? This is your team with KW Smart One here in Winter Haven. So let's kind of like jump into that. Like, what inspired you to build that team in Winter Haven and then eventually have, Maddie hop on and Mila and everybody else?
Well, it really started when my daughter Mila was pursuing her real estate license. I wanted to make sure that she had a place that she could excel once she had her license that would teach her the right way of doing business and how to transact in real estate as a professional. So that was the big motivator for me, is really creating a safe space for new agents where they can learn and grow.
Yeah, of course. That's like so important, obviously, right? But let's talk about, before I kind of jumped right into you founding the group, right? But let's talk about, Janelle, like in particular, your background in real estate, how long you've been doing it, how you got your start originally, all the fun stuff. Come on, give us some good details.
Okay, so I actually started in banking at 18 as a personal banker. I managed my first branch at 20, and I was in banking for about 18 years. And then after my fourth child, I decided to be a stay-at-home mom because daycare for kids. And I started working part-time for a small boutique brokerage here in Winter Haven. And it started with me showing her how to use QuickBooks and then evolved into being a broker assistant. So from there, when my youngest went to school, I decided instead of going back into banking to pursue real estate full time and earned my license.
Nice. And then you kind of jumped right in right at the right time as well, right? It was in that early, 2020 area range there.
Right into the mayhem.
Nice. I'm hoping to see that again myself. I joined on the back end of that. So, but with that being said, let's flip it over to Maddie. Madison, what made you join Janelle and the Haven Group over, lots of other teams and options and brokerages and all that fun stuff?
Well, a really great thing is Janelle actually helped us sell or buy our home with Mila on it. And that was really my introduction with Janelle. And at the time, I was not a real estate agent. I didn't even know that was the route I was potentially going to be taking for a couple months. And then, because we moved to Lakeland when I started in my physical therapy program, and that really didn't pan out for me. It wasn't what I loved. So I took a step back, figured out what I wanted to do going forward, and I really got interested in getting my real estate license and what was the work behind that you have to do. So Janelle sat down with me, went over one-on-one, and she encouraged me to talk to other brokerages and other people and put myself out there and see who I fit best with. And one thing that really stuck out is Janelle's morals, her integrity, and her drive, really, to want the best for all the agents under her and to educate them with real estate. So I felt like it was a perfect fit. Are you there?
Did we lose you?
Sorry, that was my error. I muted up because our cat, Vinny, just decided to be very loud in the background. So my fault. Maddie, why don't you give like the listeners at home that don't know you, some of them probably do, your background and how, you came to be in Polk County, and honestly, like what you love about Lakeland, living here, and all the fun stuff in real estate so far.
So like I said, me and you, we moved to Polk County when we visited. It gave us a sense of home. Definitely bigger than our village of Dexter, New York, back home, but still that small town feel. So when we came here, I believe it was in January, we were able to kind of get a scope and feel for the area and know. And then I was really touring for school purposes. I was getting my doctorate in physical therapy from Florida Southern, and that ended up just not being what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And so I had what I call a quarter life crisis into a career change, and I didn't really know where I wanted to go. But we had invested our time and money into properties. We have the duplex back home, and we knew we wanted to keep buying properties for rentals and Airbnbs and all that good stuff. So we sat down and kind of went over, oh, have you thought about getting a real estate license? And I was like, not really. But then the more I looked into it, the more I thought, wow, like this is actually really interesting. Every day is a new day. Buyer seller is a completely different experience from the last. So it's always a learning curve, and it really did intrigue me. And that's where, when we bought our home in Lakeland, sat down with Janelle and found out that that's really what I wanted to do. What drove me to Lakeland, and what I think that we both really loved, is that small town community feel and vibe that you get. But we are still an hour to Tampa, an hour to Orlando, and we can be in the city without having to live in the city. And I'm not the most patient person in traffic scenarios. So it was the best of both worlds, really, for me and you. And there's still so many community events, I feel like, too. You have the farmers market, your neighbors say hi to you, they talk to you, and it's just a really feel good area. And it just felt like the perfect fit. Right from the get-go.
Shout out to our awesome neighbor Ruben. He got a new phone number, was texting with me this morning. We're gonna have him and I are gonna have some beers soon, hopefully. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean you actually know your neighbors here in these
crazy.
communities?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? But yeah, so Janelle, I'm gonna pivot back to you, right? And obviously 18, banking, QuickBooks, like the boring business stuff is definitely up your alley, right? And so on that line, let's talk about like not necessarily a mission statement for those of you business nerds out there, but like your mission for the Haven Group in Polk County. Like if you could give me a sentence of what the Haven Group wants to accomplish, like your mission.
It really is all about find a need, fill a need, right? So we're professional problem solvers for people in transition.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. One sentence. There it is. I love it. Cool. Maddie, one last thing for you. What's one thing, if somebody was going to move to Polk County, that you would want them to know about the area?
If you were to move to Polk County, I think it's going back to that versatility. You have farmland, but you also have city, and you're an hour and a half away from the beach, depending on I-4. You have so much, and I think that there's a bunch of niche places to live that can suit any of your hobbies, whether you're in Auburndale, Davenport, Plant City, Lakeland, Winter Haven. There's so many different communities with different feels that I think it's really important when you come in, see if this is the area you want to live, you kind of go and test out all those areas, because each town, each city is so different in itself and is known for different things. And it can really suit, I believe, majority of the people can find an area that they love. And whether that's in your school systems or anything like that, there's a lot to love about it. And then you're also, like I said, an hour to Tampa, an hour to Orlando. So you can even be working in Tampa and Orlando and still have that small town community feel of where you're living.
Yeah, definitely. If I had to take that question by one thing I would tell people that move to Polk County is go follow the sheriff's page on Facebook and Instagram, because it's awesome. And Grady Judd is the man. Shout out to Grady Judd. So
I look forward to his videos all the time.
Let's roll from talking really about you two and then the market, and let's just talk specifically about the market for a second. Let's do the market minutes. I'm gonna pass it back to Janelle here with another question. How would you describe the Winter Haven market right now? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Is it somewhere in between?
Yeah, so the pendulum has definitely moved us into what we would consider a buyer's market at this point. Now that's all subject to change. And, I always say it's a pendulum because it's always moving in between the two. So right now we're in a buyer's market. If we see fluctuation in rates, that can quickly change.
Sure. Yeah. And we'll talk about that and the hot topic a little bit. I'll nerd out for you both on some Fed stuff that we're kind of waiting on. But okay. And like what types of homes in Winter Haven are you see moving the fastest, right? Because back in the when we were looking for this place, Maddie and I went with you a couple times and we toured a lot of different properties and we looked at lakefront, which, I mean, you have the draw of the chain of lakes. I think you could speak on that, having a home there yourself. Or is it just normal Lennar, DR pop-up neighborhoods that are kind of coming up in the area? Like, what does it look like for people out there?
So a big draw for Winter Haven is lakefront property because in Winter Haven, aside from the chain of lakes, we have 50 lakes, over 50 lakes, either inside or touching city limit borders. So that lake lifestyle really brings people in. But the majority of the sales that we see are single family, 3-4 bedroom homes. Starter homes are, I would say, at the top of the market right now for what we're seeing moving in Winter Haven.
Yeah, Winter Haven's awesome. Shout out to a couple of lovely local restaurants there. I mean, you got to go check out Janelle's Facebook page because she loves to shout out all sorts of local mom and pop stores. And of course, our friends at Haven Roasters, Janelle, number one coffee in the world, something like that, right?
Yep. Twisted Prop for lakefront dining. I'm there at least once a week.
Harborside's good too. I'm right on the lake.
Harborside is delicious.
I think we go to Twisted Prop at least once a month now, Janelle, because of you. So that's really funny. All right, cool. So let's switch over to Maddie and let's talk about Lakeland. Like, what do you think buyers in Lakeland are prioritizing the most right now? Are they looking for space? Are they looking for new homes? Are they looking for like locations around schools, or is it something else? Is anywhere in Lakeland good for these buyers?
So I will say it's very niche to that buyer. I mean, you really have to know, is it being close to a particular school important? Do they want to be close to their work? Are they looking for more land? Are they looking for more bedrooms? It is niche, but I will say in a whole, I think having space between your neighbors, even if you're in a community, has been huge for any of the buyers that I've talked to in the past even month. They don't want to be right on top of their neighbor, and they also want almost turnkey homes too. They don't want the projects and the hassle. And, for me, I like the projects and the hassle a lot of the time. I like doing the little flips and tricks, but a lot of people, I mean, when you have a family starting, you don't really want to be doing in-depth renovations. So they're looking for more turnkey homes, I think, is a big priority, and really making sure that that area fits all their needs, whether it's, like I said, the school systems, if they want to be more out in the country. But it's really, what is that buyer's motivation? Because everyone is so different and everyone has different needs and wants when wanting to purchase a home. So finding that motivation and what is pushing them to buy and what they see themselves calling home is really important for each and every person.
Yeah, I love it. And then I'll stick right with you, Maddie. What's one quick thing that a seller could do before they list that will help attract more buyers based on what you're seeing? And Janelle, feel free to chime in as well if needed there.
With sellers, I find that I feel like when I take a buyer to a home, within the first 2 minutes, they know if they can see themselves in that home. And that really comes down to curb appeal and walking in and that initial feel of the home, right when you pull into the driveway. So what could sellers do? I think it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to hire all these companies, but just fixing up the lot sometimes, throwing some flowers in there, maybe replacing the numbers on the house, and then really keeping it clean, because it's hard sometimes, or decluttering, we always say, taking out all the stuff, because someone wants to envision themselves in that home. They want to know where their couch is going to go, where their bed's going to go, what color they want to paint the wall, or, decluttering a little bit can kind of help them envision that space. You can always do updates to your house, but it's whether those updates are working for your seller. Are they going to put in too much money where it's not getting them the return that they want? And that's a big devil's.
Yeah. From the seller perspective, the 3 things that they can do that have the biggest impact are actually the least expensive. The first one, I would say, is having the home professionally cleaned or putting in the elbow grease. But as homeowners, sometimes we kind of miss the things that we see day to day. So I feel like having it professionally cleaned has a huge impact. And if you're going to do it yourself, make sure you're getting the ceiling fans, you're washing the walls, you're taking care of the baseboards, because as a new buyer walks in, those are the things they're going to notice immediately. So it's decluttering, cleaning, and, that minimal curb appeal, adding new mulch, flowers in the flower bed. So the 3 most impactful things are also the least expensive.
Yeah. I mean, man, my 2 cents here, just doing a lot more open houses since Maddie got her license. Just clean your house, people. Like, I don't.
Give it a good
crazy.
spring cleaning.
That's it. That's
crazy.
the number one thing. You nailed it.
Like, I just don't. I mean, it's so funny, Janelle. I think you'll laugh at this too. I just picture like us selling our house. Maddie would have a absolute heart failure if somebody walked through our house and it was not clean, especially if she didn't know the person.
I would be going, yeah. Well, I'm a little crazy when it comes to cleaning, though.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. All right, cool. Well, let's roll into some rapid fire questions. But before I do that, kind of rolling it back to Janelle. Like, I know you have just tons of passion about Polk County and really Winter Haven in general, right? So, like, real quick, instead of us just kind of random shouting out, like, what are some, if I move to Winter Haven, what are some things locally that you can do for fun, some shops to attend, some places to eat, different things that, maybe somebody watches this that's like, man, I'm going to move to Polk County because Janelle said it's awesome. Like, what do you guys do for fun over there in Winter Haven all the time?
It is awesome. So, okay, in Winter Haven, I'm going to try to do this quick. There's so many good places. We've got Adler's Burgers that have amazing burgers. Lucille's is like an all-American diner. We've got the lakefront dining, which is Harborside, Tanner's, Old Man Frank's, Twisted Prop. For fun, we actually have a comedy club in downtown Winter Haven. We have a pool room or billiards room. We have farmers markets and local markets every Saturday in the downtown area. There's always some community event going on, and that could be found right in Central Park. But on any given weekend, you're going to find family-friendly things to do outside in the fresh air around this community. You can rent a pontoon boat for a half a day or a full day and go check out the chain. We just did this a couple weekends ago and it was amazing. So boat rentals, if you want to come visit and not necessarily bring the boat with you. We go paddleboarding. We walk across the street, hop in the lake and go paddleboarding. We've got tennis courts, pickleball courts. There's bicycling clubs for folks that like to get out on the bicycles. There's running clubs. Gosh, there's so much.
There's so much. And there's really, I feel like even so, that's what like every town has so much to do where it's like, what fits your niche for it.
If you're an outdoor person, Polk County and Winter Haven check them out. That's all I can say is check them out. And then we've got really cute like boutique stores here. Everything from cowgirl aesthetic to beach vibes. Like there are little niche stores that fit pretty much any personality.
Hey, there you go. I mean, man, you could be the face of Winter Haven by the time this is done. I love this. Awesome. So let's roll into some rapid fire, right? And I've got a couple for Janelle, and then I've got a couple for Madison as well, right? And so we're going to talk first upgrades, Janelle. What do you think the easiest upgrade a homeowner could make if they're trying to drive a little value to their property before they list it with the Haven Group?
Okay, so if we're looking for the most bang for your buck, right? What we covered, clean the property. And if you need to spend money on cleaning the property, you want to get all the dust bunnies out from underneath the washer and the dryer. Baseboards cleaned, that whole nine. Put in the mulch, put in the flower beds. If you have a property that has carpeting and it's completely worn out, stained up, having it cleaned may not get the job done. So then the next thing I would recommend in that situation is replace the carpeting. That is one of the lower, more cost-effective ways to facilitate a quick sale. Because in the market we're in right now, it's not just about price, it's price and condition.
Yeah, I agree. And it all kind of circles back to what we've really been trying to hammer home, which is like, it's not necessarily even like the professional cleaning that is obviously, hey, that's a huge thing. And I think it's an easy value add, but it's just like you said, like, these buyers almost expect perfection because they go walk through a lot of new builds. And so it's like, just make it a little tight. Like, I mean, we've seen different toilets and different things like not be swept behind. I mean, we've seen molding, like just not be like caulked properly, like just different things that you could just go around even with like a small handyman service probably and have them just tidy everything up.
Yeah, a lot of those are DIY items. You can do them yourself or they're inexpensive fixes, but they have a big impact because as you mentioned, these buyers today are looking at new builds and comparing your pre-existing home to a new build. And why is that? Because the pricing is pretty similar right now. So not only that aspect, but we also have more homes on the market right now, more inventory. So not only are they comparing the home, your home as a seller, to the new build, they're comparing it to 10 other properties that they have walked through. And people want to buy what they see value in. So it's not just the price, it's a big part of it is the condition in this market.
Sorry, I got Vinny in here again, just meowing up a storm over here.
All right, I'll have some coffee.
Come on, buddy. Like, we'll figure it out, will you? All right. So, Janelle, I'm going to stick with you, and then I'm going to roll the Maddie with a couple of rapid fires for her, right? But like, let's keep the Winter Haven mix rolling. What's the funniest or maybe most annoying myth that you've heard from somebody that maybe they want to buy or sell and they just kind of give you that myth as an excuse to kind of get out of it? You know what I mean? Like in Polk County in particular, what's one thing that you would say to buyers or sellers that's like, dude, that's a myth? What are you talking about? There's got to be something.
Winter Haven, the biggest concern I hear is an alligator is going to eat them. They're going to have an alligator in their yard because we've got like 50 plus lakes. So yes, there are alligators. I live on a lake. I've never once had an alligator in my yard, but that's the number one concern I hear is that they're concerned with either children or dogs or just they themselves are terrified of finding an alligator in their yard if they move to Winter Haven.
I think Colin was believing that myth.
Yeah,
He's terrified of alligators. He won't go to Circle B Preserve with me and walk because he's scared of it.
Well, right now I'm literally crutching around, so I'm definitely not going.
Well, not right now.
I'm not outrunning anything. But that being said, yeah, I don't know. I'd be a little weary of having a small dog with a lake in my backyard myself, but that's just me. So I guess we'll move on from that one. That's too funny. So, all right, let's roll it back to Maddie, right? And I got a couple more here for you. All right. So for Maddie in particular, and this is going to kind of be repetitive, but it's not in a way. Like, what's uncommon first reaction you get from a buyer when you take them through like a showing of a house?
I actually say, wow, this looks a lot smaller than the pictures. Because the truth is, you can get those fishbowl pictures that make a place look really big. So, and that's why it's so important to go see a home before you put in an offer, or at least have, if say you're in California and you're moving to Lakeland, have your agent being able to take a not 5 times X video of the place, and so that you actually see it in person. Because a lot of the time the picture can only do so much for a home. It can really make it look 10 times better, or sometimes they can make it look worse than it does in person. So I would say the number one thing is, wow, this looks a lot smaller. This looks very different than what the photos have said. Another common thing, which is like more on the positive side of it, is this feels like home. Once you find that, this feels like somewhere where I could live, or this doesn't feel like somewhere where I could live. And that's really the two main things that I get. But each property is just so different. So walking in, but definitely the pictures can throw people sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think so too. To kind of piggyback on that, I think we all laugh because of the deal that we did together with this house. I would also say that you can't smell photos.
Yeah,
that was bad.
That goes into the cleaning aspect. If you have a nice scent when you walk in, it can change a lot. But with our house, it was even our contractor was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to step outside. I can't breathe."
When I, as the agent, have to call and warn you before you get there that it's hard to breathe in the property, it's going to hit you in the face. Like, just a heads up.
I still have like PTSD sometimes when I walk in and I'm like, make sure that it smells like all good now. Moldings were all done. Everything's good to go. But yeah, that was bad.
That was bad.
For some
context. You can't smell pictures.
Yeah, you can't smell pictures. For some context, we bought a property that was pre-foreclosure. We used a renovation loan on it, and the smell was so bad that after 2 deep cleanings, we had to demo out the tile and redo the molding because it was aggressive is a word I would use. So
that's a polite way to put it.
Absolutely, of course. But hey, sometimes that smell is equity as well. So, but all right, yeah, Maddie. So I'm gonna roll this one to you, but you're kind of biased here, right? And it's gonna have to go back to Janelle, realistically, because she's lived in multiple. But I'll start with Maddie, and then I'm gonna roll to Janelle. If you had to pick one neighborhood in Polk County to live in forever, which one would it be and why?
I would pick the grasslands in Lakeland. It's beautiful. Beautiful homes. You can tell that people take a lot of pride in the home that they have there. And you have your own private golf course. I mean, it's very well maintained. You're pretty centrally located for Lakeland, so you're close to still all the dining, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. With that said, I also recently just drove through Delphi Hills. Delphi Hills, and that is a beautiful and also quiet community, like kind of kept off in the southern part of Lakeland, where we live, essentially right up the road. But that area is also just as beautiful, and they're building more homes too in there, so that's a nice area as well.
What about you, Janelle?
I would say it is probably the community that I'm in. We've kind of picked our forever home. We're on Lake Albert, and we are the laid back lake lifestyle kind of people. You know, we also bought oceanfront property in Utila, so water, laid back beach vibe is kind of our thing. So in the Lake Albert community, they are continuing work on finishing the sidewalk that goes around that lake. So it will be completely sidewalked. It's about a 3-mile walk. Great community. We've got a college right across the lake from us, Polk State College, Winter Haven campus. And I just love it there. And I think that's the major draw in Winter Haven are the lakes. So if it wasn't my lake, it would be another lake. But I really like where we're at in that Lake Albert community.
That's what you told me that. So Lake Albert, right, is kind of like the up and coming Lake Hollingsworth.
Yeah. So that's kind of the same vibe there, you know, when they're sidewalking this entire lake, and then we've got the college campus. It is pretty much envisioned as the next Lake Hollingsworth.
Yeah, and I'll show. I've got Google up here, so I'll show some photos for any of the visual peeps out there. But Janelle, what I'm going to start with is I just Googled Utila, Honduras beaches, and my goodness, I'm so jealous. We will definitely be coming to visit. If you can't see it, but of course it's just nothing but the beautiful blue ocean water and the beaches, and looks like people having some fun, drinking some beers, all that good stuff, right?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's the second largest barrier reef in the world is right off of my front porch.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Snorkeling for people unlike me who are not unlike me. I don't know what the phobia is of sharks and just basically everything that has evolved over millions of years that will kill me. They've lived a lot longer than I have, and I'm going to let them keep doing that. But yeah, so let's kind of roll it back now to our hot topic. Unless the two of you have a quick rapid fire question that you want to throw at a local lender sitting here.
I guess from the lending side, what have you seen from buyers and sellers with their buyers with their hesitancy to want to buy? Because we can see with our their interest rates are high and all that good stuff. But what do you see on your end of things, of the hesitation of wanting to buy, or what market we're in and what the public opinion is?
Well, the public opinion thing, I think I'll talk about a little bit when I talk about the hot topic at the next thing. But I will say this. I really see people who, and Janelle's going to laugh at this. I can't wait to see your facial expression. I see people who are not ready to buy coming to us in droves, and then people who are ready to buy who are overthinking it because they think that they can time the market. But the truth about real estate, from my study of it anyway, and again, I'm just a rookie. I have a couple properties and I've been doing loans for a little while. You can't time the market. Like, every time is a good time to buy if you are in your budget and it's appropriate level or like size house for you. Like, it's always a good time to buy. Home values will go up if you look with good agents that can do comparative market analysis for their clients, like the two of you I know both do. You know, we had an idea on our property here what it would look like post rehab, because Janelle put the legwork in to really get those numbers to me and make it make sense. And so I would say that that's a huge piece where the lack of the other side. Sometimes agents, I feel like they want to be yes men or yes women, where they don't like to get a little stern. And sometimes it's on us to do that. But, you know, it really helps when agents do that legwork and they help with the budget pieces and the, you know, educating the clients, I would say is one of the things. But yeah, in terms of Maddie, your question directly, it's just hesitancy for, again, just trying to time the market. People just try to do it. They do it wrong, or they'll go rate shop and then they end up with a bad lender and it creates a bad experience for the realtor and so on. So I'm seeing kind of a lot of that. And then I'm also seeing some first time people come to me and Chris, my team lead, or you two, and then they get sent to us and they take the chance, and it's a beautiful thing, and they get in their first home, and it's pretty awesome. So I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff in the market right
I've got a quick question for you. What is one loan program that you have in your arsenal that you wish more people knew about?
Okay, so this is going to go a couple of different directions, but I'm going to tie it together. So we talked about real estate investing. That's really my passion at the end of the day. That's what drove Maddie and I into this, or at least me, and then dragging her into it, right? So from a real estate investment strictly perspective, I don't think people know enough about DSCR loans, or debt service coverage ratio loans. I've had a lot of people in my sphere when I was kind of coming up and thinking about buying my duplex and then starting in real estate. They were really worried about like debt to income ratio. And they would say, hey, listen, my lender told me that I could only, you want to buy all these duplexes. You can't do it, Colin, because my lender told me that your debt to income ratio is going to be too high and you can't do that. Well, what I'm talking about, a debt service coverage ratio loan, or DSCR, doesn't care about your debt to income ratio, frankly. It cares about your credit score. It cares if you have purchased a primary residence before, meaning this can't just be your first purchase and you buy an investment. Some banks roll like that. We do not. But this loan allows somebody that maybe you have a beautiful primary home and it has a really large mortgage. And then maybe you have a second home like a Janelle, right? Or you're building one where, your debt to income ratio is kind of tight, but you still have the ability to save up a 20% down payment and you still want to buy real estate. This loan is for those people. It allows you to look at the income that the property can generate, and that will determine if it can cover the debt on the property. You got to have a strong credit score. You got to have 20% down for the most part. But, hey, I think it's an underutilized tool in the tool belt for a lot of people.
That's why I think it's so important for them. And we always encourage everyone to talk to your lender, see what programs are out there, see what you can even apply for. Because, it's not just FHA and VA and conventional. There's so many other
Renovation loans, the DSCR. There's so many options.
That's not always our expertise, but we try to know as much as we can. But it's just so important to learn about different programs that are out there, because you never know, you might be able to qualify with some other program that's out there.
Yeah. And everybody always loves to talk about grants too. So maybe we could use this time to kind of go back and forth and ping pong this one a little bit. And I know Janelle and I will have a good back and forth here, as well as Maddie. Everybody, I think, I'm trying to delicately put this. Hey, Colin, I heard about this grant program and it sounds amazing. I want some of that free money. What is your thoughts on that, Janelle, from a realtor perspective, and Maddie as well? And then I'll give my 2 cents.
Educate, educate, educate. So there's so much wrong with that sentence, but that is what we hear the most. And it's not free money. It's a secondary lien that's placed, and it has to be repaid back. I understand that there's over 20 different down payment assistance programs, and they all have their own fine print. But the ones that we see most often, it's not free money. It has to be repaid, and there are strings attached. So it really comes down to educating.
Yeah. Maddie, what do you think?
I personally haven't had a buyer that has been using a grant assistance program yet, so I don't have the in-depth, I guess you would want to say, expertise on it. But with anything, you want to be thorough. You're buying a home. Not everything's always free in life, so you do want to read that small print. And that's when you come to us, like, we try to do our due diligence and learn as much as we can about it. But then I also know you as a lender want to sit down and go through it very thoroughly with them so that they understand and all their questions can be answered about it, because you don't want anything to pop up after closing and you weren't aware of it. So having and that's where, like, it's your system. It's feeling comfortable with your agent, feeling comfortable with your lender, and it's a whole system.
Yeah, and each lender offers different programs. So it's not a cookie cutter, one size fit all. I believe the programs are useful in the right application with the right people.
Yeah. It's hard. I've done grant loans. I shouldn't say me. My team and I have done grant loans. They have worked in New York State even, and there's a lot of hoops to do backflips through. However, I don't ever recommend them. I really hardly like to work with clients that require them. And it might sound arrogant to anybody out there, but it's not because of that. It's just really the truth of it is like when you have your mindset set from the beginning that you're going to get free money from somewhere to make a purchase. I don't love that right off the cuff, because it's just like Janelle said, people don't know something could happen. You could lose your job tomorrow and you may have to sell that house. And now you're talking about coming in and using money from the government to come in and pay for fees to a bank, which if you can't afford to pay those fees anyway, you probably shouldn't be buying a house, because things come up, like an AC goes up, your fridge goes up, a hot water heater, stuff like that. So I don't know. I just don't necessarily love using grants all the time. That being said, there's some awesome ones, especially in the state of Florida, hometown heroes, right? Like, that's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
It can be an amazing fit if the client, kind of like a VA client, if they want to be in that home for 20 years, it's a fantastic fit. So like Maddie said, it's all about the initial consult and talking with your team, and we're all shout out, Maddie, you'll love this. Shout out to John Bartlett, our friend at home. He always calls it a horse race, right? And imagine you got the lender, you got your attorneys or title people, and you got really buyer side agent and listing agent, and they run together and nobody wins. We all have to finish and cross the line together. So, a lot of people try to like pit agent against lender, and like it's just a waste of your time most of the time. If you're, hey, we work together to try to help you and provide 5-star customer service. That's what it's about. So, all right. Are we ready for our hot topic, ladies?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
ready.
'Cause I know. And then we'll roll right into closing, because I'm sure we have busy afternoons with editing and all sorts of calls and things like that. So, our hot topic of the day today is the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, is using tariffs, or at least I shouldn't say using tariffs, that's bad. He is citing tariffs as his excuse to basically hold rates steady. The Fed has held rates steady. For those at home that don't know what that means interest rates for buying homes relatively stay stagnant where they're at. And it kind of creates a little bit of friction if you're trying to get into the market and buy, right? So, Polk County in particular, let's talk about, are you hearing anything about high interest rates between the two of you? Let's talk about that first. Are you getting any feedback from buyers or sellers, or is that not really happening anymore?
We're seeing it. I'm seeing it. So buyers are still on the fence. They want the rates to come down. A lot of them are waiting for those rates to get between 5 and 5.25 before they jump in. It's hard. We're trying to educate them that would be great. Nobody has a crystal ball, but that's exactly why now is the time to buy, because we're in a buyer's market. So if we were to move forward now and work with a lender, that is always a rate that you can refinance if and when rates drop. And we hope they do. We know that analysts predict that they will. But the issue in waiting for those buyers until they see that 5.25 is that's when over 8 million buyers will be re-entering the market. So then we're going to go back to a supply and demand issue, where right now they have the upper hand. There's more buyers than there's more sellers than there are buyers. So, they're not competing. They're getting favorable terms. They have the negotiating power right now in a buyer's market. Waiting until we see those rates drop is going to be the catalyst for that pendulum to swing right back into a seller's market. So it's just really trying to educate on helping people make the best decisions for the long term.
But you
Janelle,
never want to mess up on an opportunity. And that's where, if there's a house and you wait a couple months for it, that house isn't going to probably be there anymore. But you can't always put an offer in, hopefully get it accepted. That's the end goal. And then you can always refi when they go down.
now, Janelle, would you say that rates are influencing like sellers and like timing for them? Do you have sellers that, like you said, are, hey, Janelle, I really want to sell, but I'm going to try to time the market with interest rates. Are you seeing that?
What I'm seeing right now is sellers are realizing that we are in a buyer's market. The sellers that are coming into the market right now are the ones that need to sell, either because of relocation, divorce, or there's a catalyst that is propelling them into the market. Other than that, sellers are really happy hanging on to those 3% interest rates. So unless there is a catalyst that is bringing them into the market, we're not seeing a whole lot of movement there.
I even talked to my sister the other day, and she was, we have a 3% on our house, but they do want to upgrade their home. They want a larger home for her and her family. But she's like, does that mean I can just bring my interest rate over to the new house? I'm like, sorry, sis. No, that's not how that works. But it's all about your wants and needs.
Maddie, are you seeing any buyers? Because I know that you go a lot to the new build communities, and the new builds for the people at home, like maybe that are watching this in like upstate New York, we don't have new builds, right? So like this was a whole new thing for Maddie and I to observe, but they offer things like rate buy downs and different incentives to customers generally is how they get people between the two of them, right? And so are you seeing buyers ask for those type of things and flock that way?
It's definitely an interest, and people definitely want to know about it. They can offer closing cost assistance, like you said, rate buy downs, and get in sometimes the high fours. I've seen for interest rate buy downs. Even like it depends really too. Your HOA, do they have a CDD? Does the buyer know what those are? Do they want to be in a community at the end of the day? But that's where you're getting those turnkey homes where people are walking in and they're like, wow, this is a great price. So it's definitely, I think it's a great option for buyers to definitely look at and consider, but know all those factors within it. And we try to get them to sit down with the sales rep with anyone from that community so that they can get the in-depth answers that they're looking for, whether they want to go resale or new build. But it's definitely sparks interest for low rate buy downs, 100%. And you're also getting a turnkey home that's usually brand new.
And I'll jump in on the seller side. We're seeing that as, that's realistic competition that we are up against. If you have a listing that's a pre-existing home and it's in a community that has a small HOA, you're competing with brand new builds that are paying closing costs and rate buy downs. So not only do you have to really be front and center with the condition of the home, but we are seeing new builds that are priced at $289 for a 3.2, brand new. Everything is in perfect condition. Plus they're paying all the closing costs and a rate buy down. I think it's like at 4.99.
Sure.
Pre-existing homes are having to compete with that. And that's where knowledge and experience comes in handy, because it's not always easy to have those conversations with sellers, but that's the truth. That's what they need to understand. That's what they need to see. And we have to be real instead of selling a dream or sure, I'll take a listing at any price and lob it out there. Anyone can do that. Yeah. Anyone can do that. It's not going to get the home sold, and it's not the right way to go about things. So I'm hugely data driven. For me, I bring as much information to the table as I can, and we're going to sit down and take a look at it because, Mr. Seller, I want you to know this is where we're at and this is what we're up against. Now let's come together and create a plan that's going to get you to your end goal.
Yeah. No, I love that. And just a kind of a tip out there actually as well. And I know Janelle and I have talked about this where so for us at Movement Mortgage, for example, and I'll give us a plug real quick, right? We have a product in particular like that will help with that. Now, the question is, do you see a seller wanting to access some of their equity to do a rate buy down, for the next buyer that comes into their house, right? Because what we allow a seller to do is take some of that equity and essentially buy down the interest rate for the person that would want to come and buy that home, right? Pending they work with us. And, as Janelle and I have talked about, a couple of different costs and things there, right? But in this environment, does it make more sense? Hey, if you're a seller that's got $300,000 in equity and you could take, 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand, maybe even 20 in your equity and throw it down for the next guy that wants to buy your house. I mean, the only argument I've ever had back to anybody that wants a new build is Maddie and I have looked at a lot of new builds, and this one was new in the 90s, but it still felt like a home in the I don't even know how to describe it. Somebody had lived here for 20 years, and then we brought it back to life. So to me, it had more life, like more homey vibe. I don't know. So I think there's something to be said for a lot of people that have a home out there that is a little bit too small for them. Maybe they want to upgrade. Or maybe it's a little bit too big for them and they want to downgrade. They think that they have a good setup with their 3% interest rate. But the problem is they got some credit card debt, and they're not seeing that and they're not taking that into account, right? You got to add all the other interest rates in your life to your overall situation. So I don't know. I think, using your equity to offer the different incentives that a builder can offer makes you just that much more competitive in the market and allows a good agent like Janelle or, Maddie to be able to sell it that much quicker.
I also think it's important to know about new builds. Like, how long are you planning? If it's like a brand new community that's going to be building for 5 years, are you only wanting to be there 2 years? Because then, like you said, you're competing with the new builds that are going up. So it's really, and no one knows. I mean, some people have to pack up and move tomorrow. You never know.
Right.
But we've met with the one buyer or seller that was thinking about selling, and he had only owned the home for less than a year in that community, and his ROI was not going to be there for it. So new builds are great. I really do think that they are given an opportunity for buyers to come in, have a brand new home, relatively low and great incentives. But at the same time, you have to know when I need to sell.
Do you anticipate being here 5 to 7 years? That's a good question.
I do think that's important when it comes to new builds.
Interesting. Well, while we're on this hot topic, just to kind of wrap it up, let's pivot off of like specific ways that people can kind of be impacted by interest rates. And let's talk about the Fed itself a little bit, Janelle. And this might be more, you and me style conversation. But that being said, Janelle, do you think that we see any rate cuts this year? If so, how many and how much?
So taking a look at it, analysts had predicted that we were going to be between 5 and 5.25 by the first quarter of 2026. There's a lot going on right now. If Powell does step down, and there's rumblings that may be happening, if we have a replacement in there, I think we will see that in fourth quarter of 2025. So we'll see it a little bit sooner. That's going to impact the housing market because we know that there's over 1 million buyers sitting on the fence right now waiting for rates to drop. So that puts us back in the pace of a 2021, 2022 market, which will swing that pendulum right back over to a seller's market because we're shifting supply and demand.
They'll be competing with multiple offer situations. Some people will get crazy and waive inspections. I mean, it'll be definitely way more competitive.
And the reality is there's markets like this already out there. Like shout out to Syracuse, New York, and a couple of friends I've helped buy there. My goodness, offer after offer after offer after offer. Appraisal gap, which for those at home that don't understand what that means as a buyer, you agree that if that appraisal comes in low, you're still going to pay and you're going to split the difference. And sometimes that could be $50,000 out of your pocket. And I've seen people just do that because they're trying to compete. It's already happening and it's only going to get worse, would be the thought there. My thoughts on the Fed cuts this year, I'll break down a quick thing that I listened to Barry Habib, and I'll link this in the comments down below for this video and on Facebook. The video that's 7 minutes long of our guy Barry breaking down like the difference in the cuts between the years. So last year they cut 3 times. Each time was at a convenient time for election purposes. And again, that's just abstractly outside looking in. Each cut correlated with some sort of election event. And then the last one happened in November. And so each time that they did that, the indicators that they used to justify those cuts are each of those 3 times, it's all higher than what those numbers are right now. And he's refusing to. And so he is citing tariffs as the reason of uncertainty. However, we've had the tariffs up since April, and I don't think that we're going to see this giant inflation bump. I think tariffs are actually deflationary on the back end. The study I've done on them, the price bump we would have gotten from them, we already would have seen it. And it hasn't happened. So I don't know as much as Jerome Powell, I guess, but my thoughts on him at this moment are he is a frog in a boiling pot of water. The president and his Treasury secretary, they want to drive the 10-year down. They want people that are in their 20s living the American dream, buying homes. And again, this is not political. This is coming straight from their mouth. Go listen to them. They will talk to you and say this. So I think I'd love to see Powell gone. I hate to say that's kind of a controversial take, but at this point, it's like he just keeps proving over and over again that there's something there. He's got some sort of something that's not allowing his economic judgment to run. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in 2026. He's got to be gone, right? But we'll see what happens before then. And if something happens, I mean, the president is coming out and saying he wants to drive the federal funds rate, which is at 4 to 1, which Again, I don't know as if we'll ever see that, but for those at home, what that means is you may see some interest rates back in the 5s or the 4s, or God willing, even the 3s. I don't see us getting to that point, but I think, like Janelle said, just to kind of cap everything, if you're on the sidelines right now because you think that interest rates are going to stay high forever, I don't think that they will. I think the real estate market always ebbs and flows. And I think you're going to be sorry when interest rates are at 5% that you didn't buy when they were at 6.5. And that's my take there.
It's hard to have that crystal ball. We can make predictions all day long, I think, and like there's definitely information to back up like all the predictions. But the truth is, like, if you want to buy and you really want a home, a place to call home, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, it could even be personal things that happen in your life where you might not be able to buy in 6 months, or it could be the economy, or it could be. But that's why I think it's like always know your options. Can you afford to buy right now? Do you want to buy?
And if you're a buyer, it's always better to buy in a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the rates are a little higher, you can change the rate later.
Yeah.
So right now, you're going to get the home you love with better opportunities, better incentives, better negotiation. The rate is something that isn't a forever.
Mm-hmm.
It can be fixed. It can be adjusted. It can be redone. But if you're looking to buy, hands down, buyer's markets, when you want to do that.
That's right. And then
Yeah. And I think it's something to be said too, that like people will post on Facebook that they buy a new car and that they use a loan for it. And 9 times out of 10, it's like 3 or 4 or 5% higher than what a mortgage would be in terms of interest rate. And then like they get congratulated in the comments. So I don't really know. It's kind of a backwards world that we live in a little bit, ladies. But listen, I know we got to run. So let's close this up with a little bit of closing time. And I want to roll to Janelle first. So Janelle, for someone like Maddie was, who's curious about getting into the real estate career, what's one piece of advice that you could give to that person before they get started on their journey that you feel would help?
Shadow an agent. Shadow an agent. Because the real world looks very different than HGTV or selling sunset. Understand that it is a business. It's your own business that you are running. So like many business owners, you're committing a lot of time and sweat equity to that to build your business, and shadow an agent.
that's pretty much, if I had to answer like what's the best advice you gave me, it would be it's not HGTV. It's a business, and what you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Man, that was a Denny Lane reference right there, Maddie Bird. He's going to love that. He's going to love that. I doubt he's going to see this, but he would love that. That's my grandfather. Awesome. He's a big, you get out of life what you put into it. And I believe that with every fiber of my being. So Maddie, while I'm on you, like coming into it, being new, having me always be annoying you about real estate, and then, getting lots of advice from Janelle. What's like a book or a podcast or any sort of resource that you use to kind of help you, feel comfortable in the real estate game that you would recommend to somebody?
I think it even goes back like in 2020 when you started getting really involved in investment properties and where to put your money and cash flow and passive income. I thought you were crazy. I was like, I'm 20 years old. I'm not going to buy a house. Like we're going to move. Like what's going on? But you had me read the Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I listened to it. I didn't read it. I listened to it on a podcast. That book was really eye-opening to me because essentially it compared two father figures to this man and different life choices that they made and investments and knowing business. So that kind of opened up my eyes into the real estate world essentially, because then I started doing my own research outside of that and trying to understand what your goal was. And then I was like, wow, this is eye-opening. I didn't really even know what passive income was with rentals and investing your money into real estate. I was always on a track of medical, going to school, passing my exam. I never was really taught any of that. Going forward though, I mean, Janelle always encourages me and our whole brokerage. You can't know everything. There's new things every day that pop up. It is impossible to know everything. So being able to educate yourself and continuously learning, listening to the MREA podcast that we do. Janelle just gave me a new book the other day, Shift. I haven't started it yet, but I'm excited. There's so many different strategies and ideas for even further than just wanting to own and buy a home. But if you want to be in the business of real estate and understanding all the different, there's so many, all the different avenues that you can take to being successful in the real estate world. you create your own path for sure. And it's how you want to run your business.
Yeah, awesome. So, ladies, where's everybody finding you online these days? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'll link it all down in the description below. But what do you prefer?
All the things.
All
YouTube,
YouTube.
the Haven Group. We keep it simple, but we're all the places for people to find us.
And we've been trying to be better about posting and being more active and sharing what a great community that we live in with everyone.
We try to share about our communities because we all live in different communities within Polk County. And we try to share any aha moments or educational pieces, anything that can help the next guy.
Love it. Janelle, in closing, what's next for the Haven Group in 2025? You got anything huge planned that we can get some details on, or are we just steady sailing?
Well, we have got a total of 4 agents on our team, so we've had rapid growth this year. So my big plan for 2026 is digging into and helping to develop each one of those agents and their business. So it's a partnership. It's like a co-op. We're in business together. So my main priority is to see them grow and evolve and reach their goals and meet their potential.
Awesome.
That's why I joined Janelle's team at the Haven Group.
All right, ladies. Well, Janelle, Maddie, thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day. This has been Real Estate is Local with my friends from the Haven Group. If you're looking to buy and sell in Winter Haven or Lakeland, definitely get a hold of them. All their links will be down below. Ladies, we will definitely do this again. But until then, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Colin.